Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Thursday, I'll have our guests today, including John Shannon, standing by. Brought to you by the Vancouver Giants. Giants would like to thank fans for their support this season at the LEC and can't wait to welcome them back for the 2023-2024 campaign. Get your season tickets for next year now at vancouvergiants.com/season tickets. Jonathan Toews, Rick, is going to play his final home game for the Blackhawks tonight. They're not going to re-sign him. They take on the Flyers. And with that news, we bring in NHL Analyst, co-host of the Bob McCowan podcast, John Shannon. How are you, sir?
Jealous.
Of the jerseys?
Yes.
What do you think?
Fantastic.
Even on us.
God.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You might be on the practice squad, but, you know.
Healthy scratches.
I tell you what, they are doing some things right out there with their football team. That looks pretty good to me.
Yeah. And you're a TV guy. I think simple looks great on television, and they nailed it from that point of view, John.
And to be able to read the numbers from about 100 feet is important.
Yeah. Ask any play-by-play person. Okay, so Jonathan Toews is playing his last game for the Blackhawks tonight. They're not going to re-sign him. Just your opinion, your thoughts on that piece of news, which broke this morning.
Well, you know, I'm twixt in between on this one. I'm mad at the Blackhawks. Why aren't they re-signing him? Why can't he be a lifetime Blackhawk? If Jonathan thinks now, the other side of the story is, and Pat Brisson will probably be able to give you a better answer, is if Jonathan thinks next year he'll be close to being 100%, because let's face it, he's had huge physical issues the last couple of years, and he can go out and make $5 or $6 million on the open market next year, then that's great. And I think what the Blackhawks are doing is saying, listen, he's not coming back because we don't want to pay him, but we better give him the send-off he deserves, because they didn't do it for Patrick Kane.
Yep.
So there's a level of transparency with the Blackhawks that you say, okay, that's the right thing to do. And I'll tell you what, it will be an emotional night tonight at United Center. It will be. But for what this guy has done for this franchise after being drafted, and carrying it on his shoulders before they won a Stanley Cup and carrying it through. And we talked about what a great leader this guy was. And then hopefully the decision not to be there next year, hopefully it is Toews' decision and not the Blackhawks' decision. That's all I'm saying. I was heartbroken when I read it today, really. And I don't get emotional about these things, but I was heartbroken. That, you know, we don't have very much loyalty in our world these days, and every once in a while I'd like to see some loyalty show up.
What will you remember about him if indeed this is the end as a player?
Actually, I'll remember him for what he did in Vancouver at the Olympics.
I agree.
You know, he didn't get near the credit. He was the best forward at the tournament. He won the award as the best forward for the Olympic tournament in 2010. And he was such a versatile, great teammate. He could play center. He could kill penalties. He played most of his time that tournament on the wing. And that put him in such good stead to be the leader of the Blackhawks, to win 3 Stanley Cups. He's just a consummate professional. Just a consummate professional. And it's hopefully this is going the way he wants it to go in Chicago. And if that's the case, then, you know, I can get off my soapbox.
I never realized how tough Jonathan Toews was until I watched that tournament in front of the net along the boards. You're right. He was right up there with Canada's best forwards, if not their very best. Hey, the Penguins missed the playoffs for the first time in 16 seasons. First time since Sidney Crosby's rookie season. Where is that franchise headed, John?
Well, new ownership there, right? The same group that owns the Boston Red Sox, Fenway Sports Group, and they own a Premier League team. You know, they're pretty cut and dry about what they want. I suspect that we're going to hear rather soon what's going to happen for 3 people in my mind: Brian Burke, Ronnie Hextall, and Mike Sullivan, to see what is going to happen, who's going to do what. They may get a vote of confidence. I find it hard to believe that they will. The fan base in Pittsburgh is really disconsolate right now, particularly after knowing that, the playoffs, they controlled their own fate 2 games ago, and now they're out. And I think that Fenway Sports Group, who did not hire Burke, did not hire Hextall, did not hire Sullivan, I suspect that they'll probably go in another direction.
Bo Horvat, John, we haven't got your comments since the incident and got Vancouver stirred up quite a bit. Your thoughts on, and by the way, Bo Horvat into the playoffs last night, so he's probably getting the last laugh. But your thoughts on what he said about Vancouver?
I hope they were taken out of context. I'm not sure they were. I like Bo. I think that there was probably some dissatisfaction in his mind with current management on the way things were handled. And somebody caught him at a weak moment, and he said what he said. But to me, and listen, if the Penguins do what the Penguins are supposed to do, Vancouver's having the last laugh, not Bo Horvat. So it's one of those things where you say, oh, why did he have to say that? Why did he have to rile up a city? Why did that occur? And yet in the end, that's what sports and rivalries and friction and grit are all about, isn't it? We like it when people say things. We like people when they become transparent. When athletes say something that is out of it isn't in the media speak dictionary, we either regale them with praise or we rip the heck out of them. So I'm not sure, but in the end, I'm sure that at a certain point, I would not be surprised very privately that the president and general manager of the New York Islanders takes Bo aside and say, listen, Bo, here's how you handle those things. Because that's what Lou does. Lou is the greatest person to manage the message and how to treat the opposition with kid gloves. And I suspect that at a certain point, maybe not today or maybe not a week from now, but at a certain point, maybe in the summer, there'll be a cup of coffee at a little local coffee shop on Long Island, and Lou will say to Bo, why did you do that? And here's how you should manage that. That's what Lou Lamoriello does with all his players.
John, what is going to happen in Calgary? No playoffs, Sutter, tree living. Boy, it's going to be interesting to see what shakes down there in Cowtown.
Well, one guy has a 2-year extension, and the other guy doesn't have a contract.
That's it.
And there is a triumvirate there that involves Brad, who both Brad and Darryl I view as friends, and Marie Edwards, who I know. That triumvirate, the question becomes: is there more loyalty to whom by the owner? And my understanding is right now that Brad would not be able to fire Darryl at this point. If he wanted to. And the next step in this is that what do the players think of Darryl? What do the players think of the organization as a whole? So it's going to be interesting over the next 7 to 10 days once we hear some of those exit interview stories and what's gone on. I found it interesting last night. I don't know if you guys saw it, but on the Sportsnet broadcast, they showed Brad Treliving at the morning skate, sitting on the bench at the morning skate, where he has not been all year long.
Yep.
And that to me, and Eric Francis and Ryan Leslie talked about it on the show, that to me was a little cryptic about where Brad Treliving thinks his future is. He won't be without a job for very long, but at this point, I'd be surprised if Brad is back in some form or manner.
And John, very quickly, why does the NHL need to go to Australia?
Shrimps on the Barbie.
There you go.
There you go.
Enough said.
Listen, it's all about growing and exposure and television subscriptions and making sure that ESPN and ESPN Asia and Star TV get more games on television and subscribers. It's growing the game, boys. It's an overused cliche. It's almost as bad as pucks in deep, but growing the game is all what it's all about these days.
Okay, John, for that answer, we're sending a Lions jersey your way. All right.
Can I get 22? Leroy Sledge was my guy.
Oh, my gosh. I thought you were going to say Joe Cap or Doug Flutie. But, man, you are a deep Lions fan to bring up Leroy Sledge.
Well, I was going to say 15 because Willie was 15, man.
Willie Fleming.
Willie was 15. Oh, man.
So good.
Those were the days at Empire. That was tough to beat.
Yeah.
That was tough to beat.
No, even in the rain. Loved it. John, thanks for this.
I was under the roof. I was always under the roof.
Yeah, not me. End zone. Nally's chip seats.
End zone.
My dad was under the roof. He sent me in the end zone.
Do you know there were twice as many seats in the end zone than there was under the roof?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I knew that. Yeah. There was 2 waiting for me. All right, John. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers, boys.